Here's the sixth thing that you need to do. If I was starting from scratch, social media. A couple things about social media. Let me break them down for you. The first is this. The old paradigm was that you might get people to your website, and then you want to say, again, this is old. Don't do this. Hey, connect with me. Here's where you connect with me. Go find me and connect with me on all my social media profiles. So it'd be very common, like, on a website to say, hey, connect with us on Facebook, connect with us on Instagram, connect with us on, YouTube, connect with us on Twitter, follow us on, you list all these other things. That's the old paradigm. The new paradigm is this. We want to invite people to your house, and we want to continue inviting them back. So over here, YouTube, invite them to your website. Facebook, use it, invite them to your website. Instagram, use it to invite them to your website. Twitter, if you use it. LinkedIn, if you use it. All of that, whatever else you use, invite them back to your website. Don't send them from your website to other places. Send them from other places to your home base. Here's my suggestion is to create a template. And by the way, the PDF of all these slides is down below. You can just go to this page, print it, and start filling it in. And just decide every week, right now, what am I going to share on social media and what's the purpose of it? So some of these you need to fill in and say, okay, every Monday morning, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to drive people to my site. Every Tuesday morning, I'm just going to share a picture. Like it's just hey, this is just a fun thing. Every Wednesday, I'm going to share here's the point. If you fill in the gaps here, and you can decide to share twice a day. Some industry experts say, hey, share 4 times a day. Some people go, no, just do once a day. You decide for you. Early on, I would say get consistent with once a day and then up the game and go to twice a day. But get consistent by deciding what you're going to do at each given slot every single day. For instance, here's one of the plays that I'm running right now. This is just the morning post. So I generally post in the morning and in the afternoon. In the morning, I'm going to post my top 7 weekly blog posts on Mondays. On Tuesday, I'll just share a picture from the previous week. On Wednesdays, I will point people to my podcast. On Thursdays, I will either do a throwback picture or an opt-in. Hey, here's a free gift on my website. You could get this audio series free. Or, hey, here's a book. Pay the shipping and handling. It's off to you. On Friday, I'll share a picture from the previous week. A lot of times I'm not shooting stuff in real time and feeling that burden. Oh, I got to share this right now. I just don't like being under the gun. If there is something I want to share in real time, I can. I just kind of add that in. But I'm generally working from this template as far as the mornings. I generally share in the morning and in the afternoon. Here's kind of the play we're running right now on Amplify is every Tuesday I'm sharing the podcast in the afternoon. Every Thursday in the afternoon, I'm sharing the blog post. Every Saturday, opt-in or a freebie, some kind of value add to point people to the website and to collect an address. Now, by the way, on the podcast, in the show notes, there's always an opt-in in the show notes that's related to the subject of that podcast. In the blog post, again, in the footer, there's always down there an opt-in. It may or may not be what I'm sharing just to the whole mass audience. On these, we always have a next best step. In fact, I would insert that. There's a whole module I've got right here. It's a bonus module for you too, how to grow your online audience. If you'll go there, one of the things you'll see is every time you share a blog post or a podcast, always have, for everything for that matter, always have a next best step, a call to action. Sometimes it's referred to as a CTA, call to action for your guest, for your audience. Okay, point number 7. So let's just kind of review back through. Number 1 is set up the website. Number 2, put opt-ins to collect visitor information, a guest book on that website to send them value based on what they opted in for, as well as lead them to a purchase. Number 3, do a weekly podcast. Number 4, start doing those emails. And number 5, you're also going to do a blog. That might have been better to just kind of reverse those order, but here we are. Number 6, social media, use it in the right way, meaning every time you share a podcast, every time you blog, always post those out, draw people back to your website. Don't send them away from your website. Always draw them back. Number 7, here's kind of it apply to some people, but not all. If you are a 501c3, if you are a not-for-profit, this applies to you. If not, you can just skip ahead. If you are a 501c3, there are opportunities for you at the point of purchase. Consider using Roundup. Somebody buys a book from you, it's $12. Hey, do you want to round up to 15 or 20? And here's what we'll do with that money. You need to also create a giving pipeline. You should look for grants. There are grant makers out there, foundations, even if you are faith-based, that will give money for literally just about everything. It'll take you a little bit of time, a little bit of research. But in the process of researching, a couple of years ago for a nonprofit I was working with, we brought in $200,000 that first full year that we were doing some grants. If you are a 501c3 and you're doing events, you can get event sponsors. Now, you can do that if you're not a 501c3, but if you are a 501c3 and all of a sudden these businesses can get a tax deduction for sponsoring your event, at some point, they're going to give money to some nonprofit cause for a tax deduction at the end of the year. They'll go ahead, they will include you if they believe in your mission. So all those are opportunities right there if you are a nonprofit. If I'm a nonprofit, still running the play for everything else that we've talked about. So all of this other stuff still applies. You don't extract it. You still do the exact same play. The 8th point is this. Consider doing some live videos online. Again, this is what I would do if I was starting from scratch. I would go on Instagram stories. I would go on Facebook Live. I would even consider going on LinkedIn, depending on what my audience was and what I was selling, what I was promoting. Sometimes that makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't, depending on, again, who you are trying to reach. And I would build a template just like I did for social media. So right now, here's what I've got. I've got a template for going live where I know, hey, every Monday, I'm going to talk about live. I'm going to talk about whatever I posted on my top 7. I'll just pull one story out. I'll talk about it. I'll make an observation, correct people to read the blog post. On Tuesdays, generally, I'm talking about some kind of opt-in. Now, I'm not going to promote that opt-in until Thursdays or later on in the week, but Tuesdays, I'm always talking about something. Now, it's not salesy, it's not pushy, because you think about that, man, from this week to the next week, everybody's really forgotten about what I talked about last week. So there's always kind of a value add there. Thursdays, I'm doing a lot of work with the nonprofit right now. So Thursdays, I'm going to talk about something related to that nonprofit. Again, I've just kind of built out the schedule. And at the beginning of the week, when I'm kind of doing my calendar, I go ahead and write in, hey, on this day at this time, I literally schedule like an appointment. I'm going to go online and I'm going to talk about, and it just takes about 5 minutes, but in that point, I'm not worried about or wondering, what am I going to say? I already know that decision has already been made. So I'm just going to go live and there's no hem-haw. It's like, let's just do it, get it done, get in and get out. Okay. And always, again, include a link. Sometimes you want to put the link in the comment, kind of the first comment, so that the social media feeds don't throttle your post. A lot of times they don't like it when it's listed kind of in the video description. So just use that first comment there as your trigger point to do that. Now you can do this with lives, do this with reels, schedule those, even do this with Instagram stories. So, if you're wondering about what am I going to talk about? Well, hey, just pick a day and go, hey, every Tuesday, I'm going to talk about this on my stories. Every Friday, I'm going to talk about whatever it is that you're talking about. And eventually you'll get a rhythm of it. And I found this, if I always have something to talk about that's scheduled, suddenly my creativity expands because I'm not worried about what I'm going to talk about. And if I think of something that's off topic, that's not the scheduled thing I want to talk about, I think it'll play better, I talk about it. Okay, so you're not constrained by your schedule. The schedule's there to serve you and to free you. Here's point number 9. Is do an actual launch or relaunch of your book on your website. Okay, so 2 pro tips back to back here. If I was starting from scratch today, or if I was rebranding or rebooting today, what I'm saying is if you've been in the space for 8-10 years, you can still do this. If you're new, you can certainly do this, is relaunch all of your books and your courses a few times a year. That means you're going to put a hard push on it. You're going to put an offer with it. You're going to put a bundle together, promote the book multiple times a year. And what you'll see with your courses as well is that each time you'll get better at launching it. People don't care that it's not like the newest thing. And after a significant amount of time, you can rebrand it and recover it and that sort of thing. But it gives you the opportunity to reach a new audience. A year from now, you're going to have more people on your email list. You're going to have more people following you on social media. You're going to have some different connections that you don't have now. Other people are going to see and stumble into it. You're going to be better at it as well. And so relaunch those things and invite people. You don't need a new book every year. I mean, if you write one, that's great. You don't need a new course every year. If you create one, that's great. But don't forget that you can continue reusing and relaunching these great assets that you already have in place. Here's another pro tip: is find a play that works and keep running the play over and over and over. I remember a few years ago, I was watching Mark Ingram. He was running back with Alabama and Crimson Tide. It was the first year like that they, began that string of national championships. And they were playing one team, I think it was Kentucky, and they just kept running him in the wildcat position, which means basically the running back is going to take the snap, not the quarterback, and then he's going to run it. Everybody knew exactly what's coming. And literally the dude ran the ball play after play, 5, 10, 15 yards at a time, all the way down the field over and over and over. And I was thinking, why don't they run a new play? Well, why would they? This works. So same thing. You find a play that works. You find an opt-in that's working. You find an offer that's working. Just keep fine-tuning it, adjusting it, tweak it. Watch the module that's available to you in the bonus resources on 3 opt-ins and 3 offers and tweak it. Run it over, and over. Here's number 10 of 11 is I would plan to repurpose everything you do going forward. If you record a podcast, repurpose it. If you shoot a video course, repurpose it. What does that mean? It means turn the video course into, cut it up, chop it into blog posts. It means take pieces of it, turn them into reels, small videos on social media to point people back to the blog post, to point people to the course that it promotes. It means if you are at a live event and you're speaking, record it and either sell it or turn it into blog post, or turn the audio into a course that you can sell, or turn the audio from that into a transcription that you can make blog posts, or you can make the transcription into a book. Literally look at everything that you do forthgoing, save it, file it. You don't have to repurpose it immediately, but begin thinking forward. Everything that you do, don't think of it as a one-off. Think about, how do I get more mileage out of this? And so when you do a fantastic job of it. Do it at the absolute max level that you can do, and then step back and figure out, okay, I can get some more mileage out of this by doing this other play. The final step is this, number 11, is to look deeper in the funnel and begin to map your long-term plan. So look deeper in the funnel and map, where do you want to take this long-term? Let me show you on the screen here. So this is the common graphic that is featured all throughout the big Amplify book that comes with the full-blown mega course and also comes with the one-to-one coaching and consulting. Is when you look here, you say, all right, so we've got books up at the top of the funnel. You might have some ebooks or some mini courses. You've got courses below that. You got memberships. Then below that, coaching. There may be other things below that, like keynotes, masterminds. Literally, print off a page like this, or just even take a blank funnel like that and just start sketching. Go, okay, right now, what do you have? You've got books. Do you have a course? Okay, put that on there, and start architecting. When people come into your funnel, where do you take them? Where do they begin from that opt-in? So you collect the email address. What's the offer that you're going to drive them to? Okay, if they take that, what's the next best step for them? After that, what's the next best step? After that, and begin just architecting this so that you can see how all of the assets you have fit together, how assets that you have that might be in, on my website, jenkins.tv, I have assets kind of in the grace space. I have assets in emotional wholeness space. And I have assets that are really in finding your purpose space. Then I've got that advanced space that I'm kind of separating off as its own project right now. So when people come into any one of those, okay, what's the next best step in that space? How do these spaces connect? How do I move them from one funnel to the next funnel? And how do I move people from a book to courses, from courses to coaching? Or if they come in at coaching, what's the next best thing for them? Or if they're offboarding from coaching, hey, do we just forget about them? Or do we go, hey, like the next best thing might be, hey, there's a whole other area. That would be a great step for you to explore. Again, those are the 11 things that I would do if I was starting from scratch today. Okay, step-by-step plan of what to do to begin building your online presence, or if you're already going, how to rebrand, reboot, and relaunch. Let me give you all 11. Again, 10 of these apply to everybody. One of them only applies if you are a 501c3, but there's still some lessons that you could take from that, regardless of your designation of your organization. Number one is get a website. Okay, build your home base, set it up the right way where you can take payments, you can take offers, you can house email sequences, you got a paywall where people can log in and they can see things that other people can't see. Number two is create opt-ins, collect email addresses, contact info, so you can invite people back to your site. Number three is I would do a weekly podcast. This fits with number five, okay, out of order right there. Also a weekly blog, repurpose some of your existing content. This is all content that's original to you. Number four, so let's jump back, emails 2 times a week. What are you going to email out on the broadcast? You're going to email out the podcast. You're going to email out the blog. Okay, perfect world if you're starting from scratch. And then you're going to turn some of those emails and some of that content into really these evergreen sequences. They're going to be running in the background when people opt in. That's what you're going to send them. So you can send them email, offer, email, offer. Ideally, 4 to 5 emails, then an offer, 4 to 5 emails more than an offer, and then you move them to your broadcast sequence. The next thing that you want to do is really leverage social media in the right way to bring people to your site, not send them from your site. The seventh thing you want to do is, if you are that 501c3, you want to go through those different opportunities that we talked about: grants, rounding up, donations, sponsors for live events, which you can still get if you are a business. But there's just unique opportunities that as a 501c3 you should leverage. Take advantage of the ability to do live videos on Instagram stories, on Facebook Live, other places. The best way to do social media and live videos, which is another form of social media, is to create a template and run that play. Just run it the same every week. And then as you learn more, just keep adjusting it and refining it, make it better and easier for you. Number 9 is do an actual launch or relaunch of your book, of your courses. Plan to launch and relaunch those multiple times a year. Number 10, set your heart and mind to repurposing everything you create going forward. And then finally, drum roll, is look deeper in the funnel and begin to map your plan long term. Okay, it's not going to all happen. Rome not built overnight. You're not going to build all this overnight, but at least if you have a plan, you know where to start putting the pieces together as you move forward, really in this business, from where you are to where you really feel like, and we believe, that you are designed to be. Okay, comments, questions, any other thing, you guys know how to get in touch with me. I've put some links down below for you where you can learn a little bit more about some of the points that we've made here in this module.